Hello, dear viewers. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what comes to mind when you think about Reinhard Bonnke? An evangelist, a tele-evangelist, a man who gave out his life to make sure that Africa was reached with the word of God. As the Bible says in Joel, that in the last days God would pour out his spirit and sons and daughters would prophesy, young men will see visions, and the old men will dream dreams. Let me introduce to you such a man who is full of vision and passionate about God. Reinhard Bonnke, welcome so much to this set.
Thank you so much, my sister, for the
You're
opportunity.
looking quite sharp.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm so much honored and privileged, and I'm so much thrilled to be here today. Thank you.
So tell us, who is Reinhard Bonnke?
First and foremost, I am Reinhard Bonnke. I am a husband, a father, born-again Christian. I am a recording artist, entrepreneur too. And I am a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ in Africa, Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, so you said you're a father of how many children?
3 children.
And your wife, her name?
Patience Bonnke.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you're also a preacher,
Yeah,
a
I'm
pastor.
a pastor.
Of which church?
Victory Word Outreach Church, Nairobi. Yeah.
Where is it situated?
It is in Nairobi, Eastland region, Nazareth area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you carry quite a very huge, heavy name.
Of course.
Reinhard Bonnke.
Yeah.
Please tell us the history behind your name.
I believe there's a big history because the story is connected with a bigger inspiration that my parents had from the evangelist from Germany, Reinhard Bonnke. And it was a very big inspiration that I believe inspired my parents, my mom and my dad, to really have that desire to name one of their children, Reinhard Bonnke. So for my mom, she tells me that when she encountered Reinhard Bonnke was in Uhuru Park, one of his crusades.
Which year was that?
I can't really be specific, but it was in the early 80s.
Definitely you were not there.
I was not there, definitely. So I can't be really sure the day and the year. But I believe it was in between the early 1980s that Bonnke came to Kenya to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ in the heart of Nairobi, Uhuru Park. So when he came to preach the gospel of Jesus, Bonnke was a man who preached the gospel of Jesus Christ with much simplicity. He was somebody who was simple in his gospel.
Yeah, that is
and,
true.
my mom was so much amazed with the simplicity of his gospel. And in that simplicity of his preaching, there's a lot of manifestation of God's power. Now, on this day when Bonnke was preaching in Uhuru Park, he preached about salvation. People gave their life to Jesus. And the funny thing that happened on that day, when people gave their life to Jesus, the following day, most people brought back some of their belongings that they were having in their houses, that they stole. Some of them acquired them in a wrongful way as the result of the impartation of the gospel.
The conviction in their
the conviction
spirits.
itself. And the following day, they brought back, some people even brought back the car keys, televisions, fridge, some electronic stuff that were brought in Uhuru Park. And this news reached the president, who was Daniel Torotich Arap Moi at that time. And the message itself was so powerful. And he gave Bonnke free airwave to preach in KBC and KBC television and also radio station. It was a very big impact. And that was it. My mom was moved because in her life she had never encountered a preacher who preached in such a high and a simple simplicity. And there was great manifestation of God's power. And this reminds me what happened in the book of Luke, chapter 19, about Zacchaeus.
Oh, yes.
About Zacchaeus, because
of how he went and brought, I mean, the money he had stolen, and he told Jesus, I would give it out.
It tells Jesus that, and if I have cheated anybody in any way or in anything, I will pay them back 4 times.
4 times, okay.
And when he said that, you know what Jesus told him? He told him, and today salvation has come in this
house. Yes.
Yeah. Because he was not ready to hold on the things that he acquired in a wrongful way. Yeah, you have to hand over everything that you took and you acquired in a wrongful way, because you have to start afresh with Jesus.
That is true.
You have to begin afresh. And when he was ready to begin afresh with Jesus, Jesus tells him, today, not tomorrow, today. You know, some of us, we get born again and maybe you stole your shoes, your phone you stole.
Yeah.
The chair which you're sitting on in your house, you never got it in the rightful way.
That is true.
Yeah, but the people who had the gospel and in that simplicity, and that Paul says, I did not come to you in the enticing words of man's wisdom.
Yes.
But I came to you in the demonstration of God's power. Power to save, to set the captives free, and just to proclaim the word of God. So my mom was so moved due to that fact. And I believe that was it. She admired the preacher.
That is so.
She admired him in a greater way. And for my dad, he had a closer encounter with Bonnke because God gave him a special opportunity to go and do his theology in Christ for the Nation Institute Bible School in Dallas, Texas, known as CFNI.
Okay, yeah.
That was in the early 80s, where he went to do his theology, and in that institution, he had an encounter to meet Bonnke because Bonnke would pay them a courtesy visit during special occasions to speak to students on evangelism outreach. And as they were meeting in those conferences and seminars, I believe he had an impartation. Yeah. And he also made his mind that I would just desire to name one of my kids after the evangelist. Wow. And the impartation was so big, my sister. It was so big to a point where when he came to Kenya, he started one of the first Christian library in
That
in
is
town.
your father?
My father.
Maybe I give you a pause a bit.
Okay.
From all that you've mentioned, it's as if your father is also a pastor.
Yeah,
You're
he's
a pastor's kid.
I'm a pastor's kid. In fact, I serve under him. Oh,
yeah. That is nice. So when he came to Kenya?
When he came to Kenya, that was in the early 80s, as a result of the impartation from the Bible school and encountering the evangelist Reinhard Bonnke. He started one of the first Christian one of the Christian library in town, Moi Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, because in those days there were no internet, so you could not access some of these teachings, books. Yeah, it was very hard for many Christians.
Oh, yeah,
so he wanted to bridge that gap. That other Christian can also have that impartation and can be able to access materials of such great men of God. People like
generals,
T.L. Osborne, E.W. Kenyon, Billy Graham, Catherine Kuhlman, those men of God.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is that library still there?
It's still ongoing because we're able even to open some branches in Limuru, Narok, several parts of the country.
Maybe give the name of the library?
Victory Christian Church.
Victory Christian Church.
Yeah.
That's what the library is called.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've heard about where the Reinhard Bonnke name has come from.
Yes.
So what are some of the experiences you've had carrying that name? I'm sure there are positive experiences and negative experiences.
Oh, yes.
So I think we could start with the positive experiences. What have you?
Experiences are there. I've encountered a lot of experiences. The first experiences, let me begin with the negative one.
Okay.
Which pissed me off in most occasions. When I was growing up, you know, many people who I encountered in my life, most of them knew who Bonnke was.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first time when they met me, as a small kid, they just called me pastor. Okay. Yeah, just like that.
And you didn't like it when you're being called pastor?
I never liked it. I just did not like it.
Really?
Because, you know, I did not have that desire at that time. Yeah. I wanted to be pilot and, you know, just venture into career, do my stuff.
Oh, so you were looking into being a pilot?
A pilot. In fact, that is what I desired so much in my life. Yeah, just flying around, just doing my business and doing my stuff. So when they were giving me that name of pastor, evangelist, I never liked it at all. Oh. And most of my teachers, when I was in school, you know, sometimes as boys, you may find yourself fighting, breaking school rules, being rude.
Being cheeky.
Let me tell you one thing, I was rude.
Rude?
In school. I was good in that. I was, if you're looking for somebody who was rude in school, I'm the guy. I was so rude. And my teachers were so aggravated with me because they were like, how comes you're holding this big name and you're misbehaving?
Okay.
Yeah. So they were giving me a lot of hard time, and they were giving me pressure because to them, it was like, I am bringing shame to this name.
Reinhard is supposed to be a saint.
Yeah. So I'm supposed to live up to that name.
Yes.
So I am being, if it is people who are making noise in class, I'm number one. You know, fighting, I was good at that. Yeah. So they really gave me a lot of hard time.
Okay.
And they told me, Bonnke, you have to live up to that name. So I told myself, I never told my parents, but I told myself, when I grow up, when I come full of age, I will change this name.
You will change it.
Oh, my mind was made up.
Did you already have a name in mind already?
No, I did not have any name, but for me, I wanted a name which is simple. Nobody will give me much pressure.
That is so true.
You enter somewhere, you don't cost much. You know, people don't say, hey, we have got somebody here called Reinhard.
And Reinhard was a household name that time.
Yes, it was.
Everywhere, everyone knew him.
It was, because he's the man who really preached across Africa in such a greater way. And many souls were saved as an impact of the outreach, the gospel that they preached across the continent of Africa.
I got to read something small about him, and they were talking about over 77 million people who surrendered their lives just because of hearing what he has shared. So, okay, one, you are called pastor. Is there any other thing you didn't like about it?
Another thing which I never liked about it, when now I was growing up, because when I was when I was in high school, you know, and now I gave my life to Jesus. Okay. You know, because I started developing desires in music, and now I was playing one of instruments in church. I was playing one of the instruments. I was playing keyboard. So I gave my life to Jesus. Okay. When I gave my life to Jesus, so I knew that because now I'm born again, now I won't have a lot of pressure.
So you're saying the day you gave your life to Jesus was in high school?
When I was in high school.
Okay.
When I was 15 years, when I gave my life to Jesus. Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew now, because now I'm born again Christian, I won't have a lot of pressure, because now I'll be doing what they want.
Yes, that is.
Because they wanted me to be a good boy, a born again Christian, good profile. So I knew that because now I'm born again and I'm also serving in the ministry. Yeah. And I'm also playing one of the instruments in the church.
It would be easier to live to that.
Yeah, it would be easier, and I won't have a lot of pressure from people.
Yeah.
But little did I know that there'll be also some pressures.
Okay.
Yes. So when I'll go to maybe conferences, revivals, meetings, and you introduce yourself. That my name is Reinhard Bonnke. So most pastors and most Christians will be like, stop joking, man.
I know.
Yeah, no, really.
Okay, it's the easiest thing to come to someone's mind like, is that your name really?
Yeah.
Really, really.
So in fact, they'll tell me, hey, stop joking. And they'll be serious. Because, imagine you go to a place like China and you find somebody having an African name.
Yes.
It's quite crazy. So they were looking at me and they're like, you're an African. So how comes you're Reinhard Bonnke? And we know only one Reinhard Bonnke.
Yes.
So how comes? So to a point I had to produce my national identity card.
And does it read?
Oh yes, it does.
It has no other extra name.
Reinhard Bonnke with my surname.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will present to a point by now when it reached a point where by now I was stoic, because people ask a lot of questions. So you get used to the questions. But in the first place, I was annoyed, because why is it subjecting me to questions every time, questions? So I came to a point where by now I was used to it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
So, but as what you're saying, it was a negative impact when they would call you pastor, but you didn't know it would actually be a positive, actually, when you look at it right now. Because they were actually speaking into your life and calling something out.
And I believe those words did not die. Yeah. I believe those words, they hunted me. I tried to run away from it, but I could not.
But you could not.
But at that time, I did not. In fact, I just did not want. I want just to be it went to a point whereby my fellow friends were calling me pastors. Or calling me pastor. Because maybe you're going to do your activities as boys around, just your activities, and they say, hey, there comes the pastor. So I never liked it. It really annoyed me so much. I never liked it at all.
Okay, apart from the negative, I'm sure there's positive.
Of course. There is
Could you
positive.
share with the positive impact that it had on you?
Well, one of the
Experiences.
One of the positive impact I liked so much how one of my aunt used to praise me when I was a small kid.
Okay.
Yeah, she used to praise me so much when she would come to visit. You know, when she would come and she finds me and she tells me, you know, there's a name which she used to give me, and she'll just sing, Bonnke, Bonnke, mighty preacher. That's how she used to sing. And she'll sing. I was a small kid that time.
Okay.
So I'll jump around. And the whole family they were singing those songs. So those songs really made me feel happy. And I was so much excited.
Okay.
And they were saying Bonnke is preparing his mighty equipments of war.
My God.
Because in those days when Bonnke would come to preach in a certain place, he would come with big speakers, trucks, you know, big stuff.
Yeah.
And in those days, very few preachers were having those equipments. Yeah. So when you enter somewhere, you'll know that somebody has come.
Somebody big has come. Yes.
Big platform, big speakers. So they'll sing and say, Bonnke, mighty preacher, has prepared his mighty weapons of war.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so they'll sing it in my mother tongue. And we'll jump around, laugh around, and it was a great encounter for me.
Okay.
Now, I was still planning to change my name.
Maybe a John, a Peter.
Maybe even an Andrew.
Andrew.
I'm a Baraka, or maybe Sifa.
Yes.
Just a simple name, which
simple
does not
name.
cause a lot of tension around.
Yeah.
Like, how comes?
Hey, why Reinhard?
I went to another wedding, another pre-wedding, and I was one of the guests there. So when I went to that wedding, the main guest who was supposed to be there was not there.
Didn't show up.
Did not show up.
And so now the second one is on
So
who comes to take care.
my friend told me, Reinhard, you have to be our main guest today. So I told him, no, I cannot do that. Let me just take my position that you gave me. And he went in front and he told the master of ceremony that we have someone here, pastor here called Reinhard Bonnke, and we want him to come in front. So he thought that it was like a joke. So he said, okay, no problem. I think even TD Jakes are coming here right now. And you know, he started mentioning some names of great men of God. Billy Grahams are coming here. So he thought it was a joke. But unfortunately, he found out that it was real. He found out that the name which they were calling me, it was my official name. So all this time, it was my plan to change my name. Even after giving my life to Jesus, it was still my plan. I want just to change my name, to have a simple name. Don't want to go somewhere, and then people started to subject me to questions. I never liked that at all. So when I was still in high school, God gave me an opportunity when I was in Form 4, in high school, in Form 4. God gave me an opportunity to serve in one of great organizations in our country called KSCF, that is Kenya Student Christian Fellowship. It's a big organization in high school.
In Christian Union.
Yeah, in Christian Union, doing high school mission work, ministry, outreach. So God gave me an opportunity to be elected as a chairperson, student chairperson in Nairobi Eastland region. KSCF stands for Kenya Student Christian Fellowship.
Okay.
So I was elected as one of the chairperson, and I was a leader within Eastland region.
Okay.
I was leading all the schools within Eastland's region. I was their chairperson.
That's a big, big
that was my jurisdiction of leadership where I was leading, and I was a student at that time.
Wow, in Form 4. So
In
how are you
Form 4.
balancing?
I was 18. I was 18 years at that time. 18 years at that time.
Yeah.
So I used to balance because teachers also knew the kind of responsibility which I used to have.
Yeah.
So whenever I needed to go and do outreach and preach to schools, they gave me the opportunity. They are very supportive teachers.
The parents are not like, no, my boy, you should stay and read and read.
No, in fact, my dad was so happy beyond, I can't explain it.
Wow, I can
so
imagine.
Yeah. Was because I used to be somebody very rude and very bad. So God changed me.
Wow.
And now at least for him, it was like now, at least the name which I gave my son, at least my son will live up to that name. Because you imagine you have given your son a very big name.
That is true.
And then is contrary to that name. Yeah, it's a very big shame.
Yeah.
To a parent. So he was so much excited and happy about it. So when I was a leader in that organization, because it's a very big organization, it covers the entire country. So for me, I was leading Nairobi Eastlands region at that time when I was in high school, Form 4. Okay. So we did a lot of evangelism at that time. And we also worked with another organization called Teens for Christ. That was an outside organization. Yeah. So, and during that time, we brought a very big awareness within Eastland region. And many organizations started rising up.
Okay.
Yeah, organizations to reach out to students. And we started a lot of organizations during my time, by God's grace. So when I was about to resign or to retire, because you have to retire, I was just about to retire, because you can only be a leader, a student leader, when you're a student.
Yes, that is true. So you were finishing high school.
So I was just about to finish my high school, so I was about to retire and hand over my leadership to the next student who will be coming over to take over from me. So I told my friends who were also leading with me, because I had a big team who were leading with me at that time. I had treasurer, secretary, had a big team. And most of us, we were resigning at the same time. So most of my team, we were resigning. So we said, before we will resign, or we can hand over our leadership to the next generation, why don't you do a big crusade in Eastland region?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was our initiative. It was our own idea. Why don't we just... So I told them, do not organize a crusade is very expensive. Just to pay for the ground, security, to hire a sound system. It's quite expensive. So we sat down and we said, no problem. We do have pocket money, what our parents give us. The small cash that our parents gives us. So we tried to raise some cash together, and by God's grace, we were able to raise some cash.
How much was that? Maybe
around 10,000 Kenya shillings.
That's a lot.
Yeah, we were able to raise.
For teenagers, I can imagine.
For teenagers, yes. Around that figure. So we were able to organize a crusade in Eastlands. It was. I think at that time I'd already seated for my KCSE examination, the Kenya secondary certificate. I'd already done it already. So we said, before we can hand over this leadership, let us have a big crusade in Eastland region. So by God's grace, we were able to do the crusade. People got born again.
Wow. Were you the preacher of the day?
It was a 1 week crusade.
My, okay.
So I was one of the preachers. Yeah, I was one of the preachers. So I preached for 2 days. Those other days, the other preachers were preaching also. So, but we were the ones who were preaching, students.
Yes.
So many lives were changed. Many lives came to Jesus. There was a big impartation within Eastlands region at that time. So at the same time also, our national leaders, the big leaders, the national leaders, they were organizing the camp meeting in Chania Girls.
Okay.
Yeah. A big camp meeting, bringing in students from different parts of the country at the same time. So when we finished our crusade, we are now planning the following week, we now go for the camp meeting, so that after that, we can hand over the leadership to the next students who will be coming over to take over from us. So it came to my mind, apparently, that the money which I had saved for the camp meeting, I spent all of the money, all of it.
Crusade.
I spent the entire money in the crusade.
Wow.
Because for you to go to the camp meeting, there was accommodation fee, food, and all those small stuff. So we had to pay for the accommodation and just for you to be admitted in the camp meeting.
So I can imagine an event where the chairperson is not there to hand over. How would it be?
And in fact, that is a national event. It's a big event.
Yes.
So, I'm just coming from
one of the sub-regions.
Which means leaders are coming from different parts of the country. So I told myself, will I miss this camp meeting? Because it will be the last camp meeting which I'll be attending as a student and as a chairperson.
Yeah.
The sitting chairperson. So I told my friends, you'll just have to go without me.
Okay.
They were so, sad, and they said, Reinhard, we can't leave you. So they raised some cash together, and they said, we have to go with you. You are our chairman.
Wow.
So lucky enough, they were able to raise some cash for me, and we went. And I tell you, the camp meeting was so awesome. It was so powerful. Leaders were coming from different parts of the country, preachers, men of God, and it was refreshing, very powerful. But something happened in between, which I did not expect.
Okay.
Yeah, which I believe it is God who had planned it.
Had ordained it.
Yeah. Because God also knew, in my mind, I was still having that agenda to change my name.
Yes.
Yeah. I still had that plan in my mind. So when we were in the camp meeting, it was a 1 week camp meeting. It was so wonderful. We were enjoying ourselves, being refreshed, there was a great impartation, being inspired by great ministers and teachers who were preaching and teaching us a lot of things. Now, on Thursday morning, they made an announcement which we never saw it coming. Yeah, because in that camp meeting, there are many leaders.
Yes.
So you just happen to be one of the leaders.
Yes.
Yeah. So the leaders who have got the big shot there are the national leaders.
Yes.
So I'm just one of the leaders from the regions.
Yes.
Yeah. So they made an announcement on Thursday morning, and they said, you want to bring to attention on Saturday, we shall be having a crusade in Thika town.
My.
Because the camp was in Thika.
Yeah, you said Chania girls.
Chania girls.
Yes.
So they said, we want to bring to your attention, students, that on Saturday, we shall be having a crusade in Thika town.